Listen carefully, your current situation doesn't define your future. Your decisions do. Look at Andrew Tate, David Goggins, Kobe Bryant. They all started from rock bottom. Jim Rohn said, "Your life does not get better by chance, it gets better by change." But here's what nobody tells you. Why do some people escape poverty while others stay trapped for generations? Why do some people turn their lives around in 90 days while others waste 10 years making the same excuses? Is it luck? Is it connections? Is it money? No. It's something much simpler and much more powerful. Today's story will destroy every excuse you've been telling yourself. This isn't just another feel-good story, this is a blueprint for complete life transformation. And if you're serious about changing your life in the next 90 days, hit that subscribe button right now. Built from Bottom isn't for everyone, it's for the 1% who are done with excuses and ready to execute. It's for people who are tired of being broke, tired of being overlooked, and tired of watching others win while they stay stuck. Drop a flexed biceps in the comments if you're one of them. Let's build this community of winners together. We're creating an army of people who refuse to accept mediocrity. Now let's get into the story. Pay close attention because your life might change in the next 9 minutes. There was once a young man named Marcus. 26 years old, broke and completely stuck in life. Every single day he would sit outside a luxury hotel in the heart of the city, watching expensive cars pull up, Bentleys, Ferraris, Rolls-Royces, and successful people walk through those golden doors like they own the world. Marcus wasn't homeless, but he was broke. Dead broke. He worked a dead-end job at a warehouse that paid him just enough to cover rent, cheap food, and bus fare. Nothing more. His life was a cycle of wake up, work, eat, sleep, repeat. No savings. No future. No hope. But Marcus had a dream. Every morning he'd arrive at that hotel corner during his lunch break with the same thought running through his mind. One day I'll walk through those doors as a guest, not a spectator. One day I'll be one of them. One day. One day. One day. But here's the brutal truth. Marcus had been saying one day for 3 years straight. 3 years. Same spot. Same dream. Same broke bank account. Same excuses. He told himself he was just waiting for the right opportunity. Waiting for someone to give him a chance. Waiting for his luck to change. But deep down he knew the truth. He was scared. Scared to try. Scared to fail. Scared to admit that maybe, just maybe, he was the problem. Be honest with yourself right now. Are you waiting for one day too? Drop a pensive face, if you've ever felt this way. One afternoon, as Marcus sat there during his lunch break, eating a cheap sandwich and watching the world go by, a well-dressed businessman walked past him. Expensive suit, confident walk, the kind of presence that commands respect. The man suddenly stopped and turned around. He looked directly at Marcus and asked a simple question. "How long have you been sitting here watching?" Marcus was caught off guard. "Excuse me?" The businessman didn't smile. His face was serious, almost stern. "I've seen you here for months, maybe years. Same spot. Same look in your eyes. Always watching. Always dreaming. But never doing. So tell me, how long have you been sitting here?" Marcus felt embarrassed, like someone had just exposed his deepest secret. I work nearby. I just take my breaks here." The businessman didn't buy it. He sat down next to Marcus, uninvited, and looked him straight in the eyes. "Let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest with yourself. What's stopping you from walking through those doors right now?" Marcus didn't even hesitate. "Money. I don't have money. You think I can afford to stay in a place like that? I can barely afford to eat." The businessman shook his head slowly, disappointment in his eyes. "Wrong answer. Money is never the real barrier. I've met millionaires who still think like broke people, and I've met broke people who think like millionaires. The only difference is what they believe they deserve." He leaned in closer. "You see yourself as someone who sits outside and watches. You've built an entire identity around being the spectator. Until you see yourself as someone who belongs inside, you'll never walk through those doors, even if someone handed you $1 million tomorrow. Would you have accepted that truth? Or would you have gotten defensive and made excuses? Comment below, be honest." Marcus wanted to argue. He wanted to list all the reasons why this man was wrong. But something in those words cut deeper than any criticism he'd ever received. This wasn't an insult, it was the truth. The businessman stood up, reached into his pocket, and handed Marcus a business card. "When you're ready to stop being a spectator, call me. But don't call me unless you're serious. I don't waste time on people who just want to talk about change. I only work with people who are ready to execute." Then he walked into that hotel, disappearing through those golden doors, leaving Marcus sitting there with a business card in one hand and his cheap sandwich in the other. Marcus looked down at the card. It simply read, "Richard Chin, business consultant," with a phone number. For the rest of that day, Marcus couldn't focus on anything. His mind kept replaying that conversation over and over again. You see yourself as someone who sits outside and watches. Was that true? Was he really that predictable? That stuck? That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He lay in his tiny apartment, staring at the ceiling, the businessman's words echoing in his mind like a song he couldn't stop hearing. You see yourself as someone who sits outside and watches. He thought about his entire life up until that moment. His job at the warehouse, he'd been there for 4 years, never asked for a promotion, never tried to learn new skills. He just clocked in, did the minimum and clocked out. Why? Because he saw himself as just a warehouse worker. His relationships. He'd been single for 2 years because he believed he had nothing to offer anyone until he made it. Why? Because he saw himself as not good enough yet. His dreams, he'd been talking about starting a business since he was 22, but never took a single step toward it. Why? Because he saw himself as not ready yet. Every single area of his life was controlled by one thing. His identity. Who he believed he was. And the brutal truth hit him like a freight train. He was right. He was a spectator. He'd been watching life happen instead of making life happen. But what could he do about it? He had no special skills. No college degree. No business experience. No connections. No money. Just a minimum wage job and dreams that felt more like fantasies. Then, around 3 a.m. something shifted in his mind. The businessman said the problem wasn't money, it was mindset. What if he was right? What if Marcus had been asking the wrong question this entire time? Instead of asking, how can I get money? Or, how can I get an opportunity? What if he asked, how can I create value? What if he asked, what can I offer that people actually need? For the first time in his life, Marcus started thinking like a businessman instead of an employee. Instead of waiting for someone to give him something, he started asking what he could give to others. This is the moment that separates the 1% from the 99%. The 99% ask, what can I get? The 1% ask, what can I create? If you're starting to see the pattern, comment, I see it below. Let's see who's really paying attention. The next morning, Marcus did something he'd never done before. Instead of going to his usual corner to watch and dream, he walked directly into that luxury hotel. Not as a guest, he still couldn't afford that, but he walked in with purpose. He sat in the lobby for 2 hours just observing. He watched how the staff interacted with guests. He listened to conversations. He paid attention to problems people had. He did this for 7 days straight. Every lunch break, every moment of free time he was there. Learning. Studying. Not as a spectator anymore, as a researcher. And after a week of intense observation, Marcus noticed something that nobody else seemed to see. The hotel had tons of wealthy international guests, business people from China, Japan, Europe, the Middle East. These people needed help navigating the city. They had questions about where to eat, how to get around, which areas were safe, where to conduct business meetings. The hotel had a concierge, but that person was overwhelmed and could only provide basic tourist information. There was a gap, a need, an opportunity. Most people would have seen that gap and thought, someone should do something about that. But Marcus, for the first time in his life, thought, I could do something about that. That's when the idea hit him like lightning. What if he became a personal city concierge? Not for tourists, for high-end business travelers who needed someone who actually understood the city, someone who could handle complex requests, someone who could make their business trip seamless. But immediately his old mindset tried to creep back in. Who are you to do this? You have no experience. You have no credentials. You're just a warehouse worker. Then he remembered Richard Chen's words, you see yourself as someone who sits outside and watches. No, not anymore. Marcus made a decision right there. He was going to become a personal city concierge, whether he felt ready or not. Action creates identity. Identity doesn't create action. He spent his entire next paycheck, just $240 after rent, on creating professional business cards. Simple, clean, elegant. They read, Marcus Rivera, Personal City Concierge. Seamless Business Travel Solutions. He didn't wait until he had clients. He didn't wait until he had testimonials. He didn't wait until he felt confident. He just printed the cards and decided he was now a personal city concierge. Identity shift complete. This is the key. You don't wait to feel ready. You decide who you are and then you become it. If you understand this, hit that subscribe button right now. Built from Bottom is building an army of people who take action before they feel ready. Join us. The next day Marcus walked into that same hotel. But this time he didn't sit in the lobby observing. He walked straight to the manager's office and requested a meeting. The manager, a sharp woman in her 40s named Diana, looked at him skeptically. Can I help you? Marcus didn't hesitate. He'd rehearsed this moment 100 times in his head. My name is Marcus Rivera. I've been studying your hotel for the past 2 weeks, and I've noticed that your international business guests often struggle with navigating the city for their business needs. Your concierge is excellent, but they're overwhelmed. I want to offer a solution. Diana raised an eyebrow. And what solution would that be? Marcus pulled out his business card and handed it to her with confidence he didn't entirely feel but chose to embody anyway. I'm a personal city concierge. I specialize in high-end business travelers. I offer customized city navigation, restaurant reservations at exclusive locations, translation services, local business connections, and complete trip coordination. Everything your guests need to make their business trip seamless. Diana looked at the card, then back at Marcus. And you want to do this for our guests? Yes. And here's my proposal. Let me offer my services to your international business guests. I'll pay you a 20% commission on every booking. You take zero financial risk. I handle all the logistics. Your hotel gets an added premium service, your guests get exceptional care, and we both profit. Most people would never have the courage to do this. They'd overthink it. They'd wait for permission. They'd talk themselves out of it. Are you most people? Comment, not me, if you're different. Diana was quiet for a moment, studying him. Then she said, you seem very confident for someone I've never heard of. What's your experience in this field? This was the moment Marcus could have crumbled. He could have admitted he had no experience and watched the opportunity disappear. But instead he said something that changed everything. I have 2 weeks of intensive research on your specific clientele, genuine passion for this city, and an obsessive attention to detail that guarantees your guests will have the best experience of their business trip. I don't have years of credentials, but I have something better. I'm hungry, I'm committed, and I will outwork anyone you could hire for this role. Diana smiled for the first time. You know what? I like your confidence. Let's do a trial run. I'll recommend you to one guest this week. If they're satisfied, we'll continue. If not, we part ways. Deal? Marcus extended his hand without hesitation. Deal. He walked out of that office with his first opportunity. No experience. No track record. Just pure determination and a new identity. 3 days later, Diana called him. She had a Japanese business executive who needed help navigating important meetings across the city over 3 days. Marcus charged $500 for the complete service. He made more in 3 days than he made in 2 weeks at the warehouse. But more importantly, he proved something to himself. He wasn't a spectator anymore. He was a player in the game. The Japanese executive was so impressed that he recommended Marcus to 3 other business colleagues. Within 2 weeks, Marcus had 4 clients. Within a month, he was fully booked. Within 2 months, Marcus quit his warehouse job. His manager laughed at him. You're making a huge mistake. You'll be back. Marcus just smiled. No, I won't. Within 4 months, Marcus had hired 2 assistants to handle the growing demand. Within 6 months, he had exclusive partnerships with 3 luxury hotels in the city. The spectator had become an entrepreneur. The warehouse worker had become a business owner. The broke kid watching from outside had become the person walking through those golden doors. 1 year and 2 months after that conversation on the bench, Marcus walked through the golden doors of that luxury hotel. But this time he wasn't there to observe. He wasn't there to dream. He was there to check in as a guest. He'd booked the executive suite for the weekend. Not because he needed to, his apartment was only 20 minutes away, but because he needed to prove something to himself. He needed to complete the journey. As he approached the front desk to check in, he saw a familiar face sitting in the lobby reading a newspaper. Richard Chin. The businessman who had changed everything with one conversation. Marcus walked over with quiet confidence. No nervousness. No hesitation. Just calm certainty. Excuse me, sir. Do you remember me? Richard looked up from his newspaper, studied Marcus's face for a moment, and then his eyes widened in recognition. Wait, you're the young man who used to sit outside. The one I gave my card to. Marcus smiled. Used to sit outside. Not anymore. Richard stood up immediately, genuine surprise on his face. You actually called me. Wait, no, you never called me. I didn't need to, Marcus said. You gave me something more valuable than a phone call. You gave me the truth. You showed me that I was the problem, not my circumstances. And that was all I needed. They sat down in the hotel lounge, the same lounge Marcus used to watch through the windows, and Marcus shared his entire journey. Every detail. The sleepless nights. The identity shift. The bold decision. The fear. The execution. The growth. Richard listened intently, nodding occasionally, and when Marcus finished, he said something that Marcus would remember for the rest of his life. Do you know what you did that 99% of people never do? You changed your identity before you changed your circumstances. Most people wait for their circumstances to change and then they'll change who they are. But you did it backwards. You decided who you wanted to be, and then your circumstances had no choice but to follow. That's the secret that separates the rich from the poor, the successful from the stuck, the winners from the spectators. Marcus nodded, feeling the weight of that truth. You were right about everything. Money was never my problem. My mindset was. I was so focused on what I didn't have that I never saw what I could create with what I already had. Richard leaned forward. So what's next for you? What's the next level? Marcus pulled out his phone and opened a detailed business plan. I'm scaling. I'm launching this exact model in 5 more major cities: New York, Los Angeles, Miami, Chicago, and Houston. I'm hiring people who are in the exact same position I was in a year ago, broke, stuck, desperate for change. I'm training them to become city concierges and giving them the same opportunity one gave myself. He paused, then added with intensity, I'm not just building a business, Richard. I'm building an army of people who refuse to stay at the bottom. People who are willing to change their identity and execute. Has this ever happened to you? A moment where everything clicked and you saw the path forward clearly? Share your breakthrough moment in the comments. Richard smiled wide and extended his hand. You're not the same person I met a year ago. You've been built from the bottom up. Now go build others the same way. And when you're ready to expand internationally, call me. This time, I mean it. They shook hands, but this time it wasn't mentor and student. It was equals. 2 businessmen recognizing each other's value. As Marcus walked to the elevator to go to his suite, he passed by the hotel's front windows. He looked outside and saw a young man sitting on the same bench he used to sit on, watching people come and go. Marcus walked outside and sat down next to him. How long have you been sitting here? Marcus asked. The young man looked confused. What? Marcus smiled. Someone asked me that same question a year ago. Changed my entire life. So I'm asking you, how long have you been watching instead of doing? Here's the brutal truth that most people don't want to hear. You're not stuck because of your circumstances. You're not broke because of the economy. You're not failing because of bad luck. You're stuck because you haven't decided to change your identity yet. Marcus became successful the moment he stopped seeing himself as a spectator and started seeing himself as a creator. Not when he got money, when he changed his mind. Not when conditions were perfect, when he decided to act anyway. So I'm asking you right now, and I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. Who are you? Are you someone who watches motivational videos, gets inspired for 10 minutes, and then does absolutely nothing? Or are you someone who takes massive action? If you're the second person, if you're serious about transforming your life in the next 90 days, subscribe to Built From Bottom right now. This isn't just a YouTube channel, this is a movement. We're building a community of executors, not spectators. People who want real results in 90 days, not fairy tale dreams in 10 years. Comment below, I'm ready, if you're serious about this journey. Let's blow up this comment section and show YouTube that there's an army of winners watching this content. And here's your homework. What's one action you're taking today after watching this? Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. Tell me in the comments. I'm going to read every single one and I'm going to hold you accountable. If this story hit you in the chest, if you felt that fire ignite inside you, share this video with someone who's been making excuses. They need to hear this message. Remember, you're not built from luck. You're not built from handouts. You're built from the bottom through decision and execution. See you in the next story. Now stop watching and start executing.